Other smart speakers, 102.5 and 106.3.
1, 2, 3. I think it was a good game. Had a couple of big plays.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's showtime.
And welcome into the Thursday edition of Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning. Hope everybody is doing well. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. Better than your Miami Heat. Sorry.
Oh, boy, thanks. Appreciate that. It was a tough one last night. Michelle, how we doing after 4 hours of radio yesterday in the afternoon? Back at it this morning.
I will say, guys, I'm a little loud this morning. I will say, not having to wake up early yesterday, it was a pretty glorious thing of 6:45, just kind of waking up and thinking, this is really nice right now.
Just immediately coming in and saying, not having to wake up and see you two yesterday.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, what are you trying to say? So you woke up on your own at 6:45?
Yeah, I can't really sleep in anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
But, I mean,
feel
that
bad.
is-
You're
that
young.
is-
I would hope that wouldn't be you, but that's too bad.
I mean, but come on, 6:45, that is a significant, that's two and a half more
that's
hours.
good.
Big difference.
It's much better relative, but sleeping in used to be sleeping in.
That's true. Had a great time at the Music City Celebrity Golf Tournament yesterday that we put on. It was awesome out there at Hermitage Golf Course. Lots of great people out there. Lots of great causes, including Souls for Souls, that the money went to. So enjoyed that yesterday. I played with the guys from Parman Tractor and Equipment, and it was awesome. We had a great time out there yesterday. Jeremy and Casey and Junior and Paul. Good times out there on the course yesterday. And I think 12 under is where we ended up at, which not bad.
Okay, wait a minute. You just named 4 names.
Yeah.
It was a fivesome?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
There were multiple fivesomes out there, Joe.
Interesting.
That's how the tournament worked.
I've just never.
Well, they just played best ball, so.
Yeah, it's best ball.
Well, yeah. I guess, yeah. I just think of it. I mean, I've played some best ball stuff, usually in a foursome.
Yeah.
So
it's like the 4, you bring your foursome, and then the celebrity's the 5th.
Yeah.
And we know Robby's
By
the
the way,
celebrity.
what a low bar that is for me being a celebrity.
Now
Yes.
that you mention that makes sense. Yeah,
Thank you.
That's true. You got to have the celebrity.
Yes, very much so. But we played well. It was good. It was fun.
And you said 12 under?
12 under, I believe, is where we ended up.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. So, Casey kind of carried us yesterday. College golfer. So,
Shout out
pretty
Casey.
good. Way to go, Casey. But we enjoyed it, and, that's the second year we've done that. And I'm hoping that there's going to be a 3rd and a 4th and a 5th and a 6th because it was a lot of fun.
It's a great event.
I love golf, so we'll keep it going. 615-737-1025, our phone number. We got a lot to get into today. On the Titans front, we'll have Nick Suss from the Tennessean joining the show at 7 o'clock. Looking forward to that with him. We'll get into minicamp and some rumors about a certain receiver coming up a little bit later in the show with him as well. And then our weekly visit with Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports from 8 to 8:30, talking all things NFL. So lots to get to on the program here today. We begin with the NBA Finals last night, and the Denver Nuggets march into Miami, and they win Game 3 last night to take a 2-1 series lead, and they win 109-94. So they pulled away. It was tied after the first quarter. It was a close game at halftime, and really in the third quarter, the Nuggets came out hot, and they started to pull away from the Heat. Jokic and Murray were both really good last night for the Nuggets, and the Heat really didn't get into their offense very well in the second half, but Jokic ends up with 32 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists. He's the first player in the history of the NBA to have a 30, 20, and 10 game in the NBA Finals, and Jamal Murray with 34 last night, including 3 of 6 from three-point land.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Early, when the Heat were, looking good, I mean, Murray he's just a problem.
He is.
He will hit any shot. They had a stretch where they were on a run. I think Caleb Martin had just made this, acrobatic, like transition layup. They were on a run. They had a great defensive possession. It was one of those things where it's like they're about to actually get some separation here, and Murray just hits this shot at the shot buzzer. It's just like, what do you do? You can't defend it better than they did. He is because Jokic first 30, 20, 10, incredible. It's all centered on him. But Jamal Murray also. I feel like Jamal Murray's not getting enough props for like how great he is right now, how great he's been for that team.
No.
An incredible duo.
He's been unbelievable. And look, I mean, everybody knows I'm a Heat fan. It's pretty clear that Denver's the better team. Now, that doesn't mean that the Heat can't win, because I think the Heat have beaten a couple teams so far that are better than they are. But it's pretty clear that Denver is better than the Heat are. Like, the question is, like, what adjustment is left for Spoelstra, and is there a little bit more magic left in the group? I don't know. We'll find out. But, I mean, it's pretty clear Denver's better.
Sure.
It's like, can the Heat hang in there?
Yeah, Denver's the best team in the NBA when they're as constructed. And like, I mean, Evan Brown. What's going on?
Yeah,
First of all,
that?
the dude who I called Evan Braun during his Kansas career, who apparently is Evan Brown.
Apparently.
I mean, the thing is, you take Porter out, you take some shooting out, but you put him in, and you are much more athletic around the rim, and he's just cut into the basket. I mean, the way the Heat are extending on, like they have to play the Nuggets in certain. It's just like, yeah, there's that dude wide open cutting to the basket, finishing, man, talking trash. They got a lot of, Bruce Brown. They got a lot of guys. That's a good team. I mean, I busted out Reggie Jackson last night. I'm like, wow, I had no idea Reggie Jackson was on the Denver Nuggets. Incredible.
Yeah. He played for I literally had the same thought. Like, Reggie Jackson, huh? How about that?
Yeah.
He played 1 minute last night, but that 1 minute was beautiful.
It was a fine minute. It was a fine minute.
Way to go, Reggie. So Denver has a 2-1 lead. Game 4 will be Friday in the NBA Finals. So they've had some, I think, 3-day breaks between every game so far. Now just kind of a day in between. So we'll see what happens and if Miami can hang in there in Game 4. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final is tonight between Florida and Vegas. Florida's going to need to get this one. I don't know if they're going to.
Are the South Florida sports fans, are they up to this? Can they show up? Okay, they packed the place last night.
They did. They packed the place last night. They're down 0-2 in Sunrise. So, I think the crowd will be. I think it'll be fine. You need to win this one if you're the Panthers.
I mean, is South Florida, it's been incredible. From the NCAA tournament to here, is South Florida going to go 0-4?
I think they might.
It's starting to look that way.
But do not count out the Miami Heat. We've learned that so far this postseason.
I'm with you, man. I mean, I want this to be a great series. That winning Game 2 was fantastic. So I'm rooting hard for them Friday.
Absolutely. Day 2 of Titans mandatory minicamp yesterday, Joe. Rexrode. You were there, Michelle. You were there. What kind of stood out about day 2 of minicamp yesterday for the Tennessee Titans as I was sweating away on the golf course?
Well, I would say the big. So I think we probably both saw different parts of it. Michelle early,
yes.
Me later. We kind of traded. I had to get over there to talk to Kevin Byard, who wasn't talking, and I went up to him. I'm like,
I could have told you that.
Well, yeah, that's fine. I went up to him like, so you hate media now? Why do you hate media? And he's like, I don't hate media. And it was McCarthy and I were both giving him crap. He's like, I'll talk at the podium tomorrow. All right. So Kevin Byard will talk tomorrow. Everybody calm down.
At least we know.
Yeah, apparently, I guess that was his plan. Just wait till the last day and take all the questions at the podium. So that'll happen today. But the big on-the-field takeaway for me from yesterday was definitely the offense. And this, how often does this happen in a training camp, in an OTA, or in a mini camp? Oh, the defense dominated one day, and then like the offense gets them back. But I will say this: Vrabel totally clowned all of us afterward. He's like, yeah, I follow a lot of you guys, and basically because everybody was talking about how the defense won. He's like, he had about 6 or 7 penalties downfield on the defense. So I was like, so apparently the offense actually won. They were just getting completely mugged. And then I think I mentioned there was like the Traylon Burks play, not yesterday, the day before yesterday, where it was Sean Murphy bunting. It was like, man, pretty much tackle him downfield, or else that might have been a completion. But anyway, the offense definitely had a great run, and certainly I think the big play the first day was the Chig beating Hooker. The big play yesterday was Kevin Byard knew exactly what they were doing, and you could not cover someone better without mugging them. And Tannehill threw it anyway, and somehow Traylon Burks beats Byard for a touchdown on a crosser in the end zone. It was like one of those, whoa. Afterward, like Byard was just like, hey, man, good job. Just one of those, like, you're just, your strength and the strength of your hands somehow makes it happen. And also, if Tannehill's fit, I mean, it's mini camp, whatever, let it rip. But still, like when he threw it, I'm like, he's not open. and it was a touchdown. That was the big play to me. But the offense had a run there. I think I want to give credit here to Sam Phelan from A to Z Sports. I think he tallied it up. It was like 6 out of 7 plays. I mean, they had a run where it was like, wow, the offense is actually – and this was the first time they've done red zone. So they went first and second down. They went, third down. And then yesterday they got into red zone. So, yeah, he said 9 reps, 3 from each QB, 6 completions, 5 touchdowns, 1 run, and a PI. You also had a very nice NWI corner touchdown, beats Sean Murphy Bunting.
Oh, yes.
So, let that be known. You had just fantastic notes here.
I love how you're going.
Really good radio.
Just Glennon style on your notes with the notepad.
So, Mike, Zach Cunningham, let me ask for a 4th straight
Hold
time.
on, my tape recorder's not going yet.
Yeah, Willis had Wiley on a nice post. It was a little bit high, although I think Wiley actually jumped a little bit early. Willis did have a nice TD pass to number 10. Who's number 10?
It used to be Des Fitzpatrick.
It's not Des Fitzpatrick anymore.
SMU guy? No,
it's not Robertson. Levis had an overthrow, but then it finished with a Levis touchdown. Now, I will say on the Levis touchdown, if it was tackle football, it might have been an absolute collision and someone dropping hard at the 2. But, it's not contact. So he went into the end zone, and the offense celebrated wildly. So, all the quarterbacks had, at least a moment in there too, which is probably good because, so far – and no one should be surprised by this, but there's a pretty sizable gap between Tannehill and the other 2 guys.
Number 10 is listed as Kyrus Jackson, by the way.
Yeah, Kyrus Jackson, the Georgia kid, right. So he had a nice moment. So, that was – the offense got some stuff done, and obviously, that's been – whatever offense they're in, that's one thing, with the Titans, obviously, is that they've been very good in the red zone when they begin. At 82, that was the TD for Levis, was Treshaun Harrison, undrafted rookie out of Oregon State. So, and he, Treshaun Harrison's out there. You notice him a little bit. So there's another name. I keep throwing you a new name every day.
I like it. An educational experience with Joe Rexrode at Titans Minicamp. We'll continue the conversation on the Titans coming up next. Mark, hang with you. We'll get to you on the other side as well. And could there be some help on the way for the Tennessee Titans offensively? We'll get into that coming up next as well. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The Stanley Cup Final lives here. Which team will hoist Lord Stanley's Cup in 2023? Follow all the action on Smashville's home for postseason hockey. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Heard that phrase, less is more? Well, at Harbor Freight, it's more for less. That's why everything in our store is priced affordably. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. And now, when you buy a Bauer 20-volt battery and charger for $99.98, you'll get to choose a select Bauer 20-volt tool to go with it for free. Yep, more for less. Harbor Freight. Offer and pricing valid in-store and on in-stock items only from now until June 30th. While supplies last, selection varies by location. Cannot be combined with other discounts or promotions. Free tool limited to select items only.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture eats strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Music City will be rocking June 23rd through the 25th with a different sound, the sound of NASCAR.
Start your engine!
The Ally 400 is back at Nashville Superspeedway, and this year, it's a night race. NASCAR in Nashville. It's guitars and fast cars under the lights. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to get your tickets for the triple header weekend, including the Ally 400, Tennessee Lottery 250, and the Rackley Roofing 200 today.
Finally, baseball is back. Swing into the season with tickets to the action. Plus, with basketball and hockey heating up, now is a great time to experience a game. Vivid Seats is proud to be the official ticketing partner of ESPN. From on the glass to in the stands, Vivid Seats has great ticket prices to all the games. Every crack of the bat, every dribble down the court. Catch it all with Vivid Seats. Download the app or visit vividseats.com today. Vivid Seats. Experience it live.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode.
It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Kanazovic here with you on this Thursday morning. Joe's already yelling at Michelle. We've not even gotten to 6:30 yet on the show.
Just wait.
Wow, I just talked to you guys instead of hitting my mic on.
I know.
Can't wait.
I couldn't even hear myself for a second. I was like, what's going on?
I wanted you guys to stop talking because you were playing the Cheers theme song, which was giving me all the feels.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were talking to me and I couldn't find a song, so I just saw Cheers and I clicked it and I knew you guys would like it.
We should play that more.
Joe was interrupting you from doing your job. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Just wait till I yell at her next segment.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. Taking your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025. Let's go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our buddy Mark in Nashville. Mark, good morning. How you doing?
Yeah, how you doing, fellas?
Doing good.
Which one of y'all, Joe, was played the part on Cheers? Was you Sam, the bartender, or were you Norm? Which one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably Norm.
Right? Oh, okay.
You know, do my job in a half-ass way and drink a lot of beer.
Yeah. I got a couple of questions for y'all. D Hop's coming to Nashville this week, next week. What do you think their chances are of signing him? Because it kind of probably looks good for him, man. I don't think Kansas City or Buffalo can sign him. They'd have to probably cut too many players, and they don't really have the cap space to really pay him. Titans do have it. I mean, Robby, what do y'all think their chances are getting Hopkins?
Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting to me, Joe, because you look at the visit that he's got. So for those who may have missed it, DeAndre Hopkins will be making his visit with the Tennessee Titans later this week. I believe Sunday is the day that has been reported that's out there. So looks like Sunday DeAndre Hopkins is coming in. And we talked about this the other day, Joe, but I think it makes a ton of sense for the Titans to take a look at this. And if it's not going to break the bank money-wise, they could use some help at wide receiver. I'm all for it. I think this is a great move by the Titans.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to the question as far as likelihood. I mean, I think it's a good sign that it's, the first visit, I guess. I know the Cleveland Browns people are reporting he's not visiting there, and there's been, like, Deshaun Watson has been out there talking about how he wants, would like to play them. So, I still feel like that number is going to be really important. And, to your, Mark, I will say, and I don't want to go all Jared on you, but those teams, I mean, you can create cap space. You can redo a deal if we're not talking huge money, and that's the thing. I don't know what the number is, but I mean, it's not huge.
No,
right?
I don't think so.
But the question is it more 3-4 or is it more 8-9?
Right.
Yeah. What do you think, Joe? You think they pay him $8-10 million a year? You think that would be too much for a 31-year-old receiver? Maybe on a 1-year deal, something like that.
I think like $10 million for DeAndre Hopkins is a lot right now. I think, but it's also one of those things. Like, if you're a Titans fan, I totally understand. You know what? I don't care. It's not my money. You can figure it out. Do you want to be good this year or not? But I mean, I would prefer more like 7 if I was trying to, sign him. 6.
Yeah.
But it is gonna be interesting.
Yep.
Well, hey, Robby, hang in there with your Heat, man. Don't give up. They got the best coach in the NBA and stuff, but if they don't get it this year, maybe they'll get Damian Lillard.
There you go.
From the Trailblazers. Maybe they can get him in there. But, hey, man, it was nice talking to y'all, fellas.
Yep, thanks for calling in, Mark. We appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep. I mean, Look, the other side of that, because I hear you on the money for DeAndre Hopkins. The other side of that to me is the Titans are getting ready to have a ton of cap space next year. I mean, they're getting ready to have an absolute ton next year.
So they can do some stuff and then they can absorb it.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that. It's just like there's also still like, I guess it's just almost the principle of like he's not good. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know if he's good enough. The fact that he could be still really good is intriguing because they could really use that. But I guess if I'm Rand Carthon, I'm having a hard time stomaching 8 figures.
I would agree. And I guess deep down, I don't know that I believe that that's what he's going to end up getting is 8 figures. But let's say for sake of argument, it's close to that. It's in the $8, $9, $10 million range. I mean, like Mark laid out there, he's going to be 31 years old. He played in 9 games last year. So you look at the last 2 years. He played 10 games in 2021, 9 games last year, and some of that was PED suspension, some of that was injury. And apparently some of that, according to the Arizona Cardinals, was him saying he's injured at the end of the year and maybe not even really being injured. So who knows? We'll see what happens on that front. It was a mess down there in Arizona. We get that. The coach is gone. The Kyler Murray quarterback experience has been interesting, to say the least, to this point. So it's a wild situation there. But I will say, like, in the 9 games, he did have 717 yards. I mean, I realize you can't just say, well, if he played all 17, because that's half the point of why his value is diminished, because maybe he can't play all 17 anymore. But, I mean, that's pretty good production in 9 games.
Sure.
717 yards.
It's actually sounds totally exactly like Julio Jones in 2020.
It really does. Yep.
It's the exact same. Like, well, the hamstring kept him out of half the season. He was still – the numbers were right in line during that half of the season. So it's a great idea. And, a huge difference, as Carolina Michelle brought up yesterday, what here is obviously draft capital giving up for Julio versus this. So, I mean, look, I think there's a real chance that he just enters the Titans Hall of Fame for once great receivers who come to the Titans after they're great.
Yeah.
I think he may have a bust in there, but it's still worth doing. It's absolutely worth doing if you can pull this off. Is he straight up purely visit some places and then, okay, who's got the best number? Is that all it is? I don't know. It sounded a little bit like it could be something like that, last week talking to Charles. But we can ask. We have Charles today, don't we?
We do.
We have Charles today?
We have Charles
today. We can ask him again.
I mean, it is kind of wild to look at this was the stat line for Julio Jones the year before the Titans traded for him. 51 catches, 771 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Creepy.
DeAndre Hopkins was last year 64 catches, 717 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, it's almost identical.
One of these times it's going to work out.
By the way, they both played 9 games.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's almost identical to the Julio Jones stat line the year before. Difference being obviously you wouldn't have to trade to get DeAndre Hopkins.
Right. Just keep taking bites at the apple. One of these guys is going to have a late career renaissance and just be amazing here in Nashville. But I will say a couple things about the pursuit, which of course Mike Vrabel confirmed yesterday.
He did.
So Mike Vrabel, I would say, said a little bit more than I would have guessed, but he confirmed it to his credit. And a couple things it says to me. First of all, the fact that they're willing to get into this, I think that's a comment on – because I all along I'm kind of sitting there like, you know what? If they're just not doing anything, they really do think Racy's going to blow up or Phillips or NWI takes them or whatever. Colton Dowell, by the way, it's not a bad-looking 7th-round pick. I will say that. But this tells, this is confirmation. Yeah, they know they have to do something, okay? So that's one thing. And also, this tells me, because I just wasn't sure, maybe they're just out on him and maybe, Vrabel was there with him in Houston. Bill O'Brien traded him weirdly.
Yeah.
You saw last year, I'm not a big fan of, as much as that was falling apart, Kingsbury and Kyler Murray and all those. I still am not a fan of I'm hurt, like Clowney did here. I'm not a fan. So, and I can't imagine Vrabel's a fan of that.
No.
In principle.
Now, again, there's a lot of he said about as to whether or not that actually happened.
That's true.
Right.
I don't know that that's the case. So, but that was a possibility. And so when there was no word of them pursuing, I was like, man, maybe it's just like, no thanks. Well, okay, here we go. They are they're in this thing. So I think it's smart. I think they should be in this thing. And I think it tells you those two things about what they think about things.
Well, and we've gone through comments. I believe it was Sports Illustrated, an Albert Breer piece that he put out there of an anonymous executive in the league saying that when he looks at DeAndre Hopkins, what do you see? And it's he can't run anymore. Well, if that's the case, that's going to be a problem, obviously, and this is why you bring him in and work him out and see what kind of shape he's in, what he looks like out there. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins has never been a quote-unquote burner out there, but he's had good speed. He's able to get open. I mean, the thing that's always been great about him is the catch radius is just insane. Like, you throw the ball up in his general vicinity, and the odds were that he's coming down with it. So if that's still relatively the same, then, look, I think this makes a lot of sense for the Titans. I really do. I mean, they got a ton of money coming open next year. The cap space is going to be fine next year. Whether it's a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal, whatever it would end up being with DeAndre Hopkins, I can't imagine him getting anything more than that anywhere else. Like a 2-year deal to me would be the max that he's probably going to get somewhere.
And if you do, if you do a 2-year deal, then you can also make it work for you cap-wise.
Yeah, and you can get out of it. Yeah, it's the more I think about it, the more I think this makes a ton of sense for the Titans, because what is the alternative? Like, the alternative is you go into this season and the receiving core is what it is right now, and maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, but I'd feel a whole lot better about the depth of the receiving room right now if you added a DeAndre Hopkins to it. If you just go in and Chris Moore's your other starting outside receiver, I just don't think that sets you up very well for success this year for the Titans.
He looks quick out there.
I'm sure he does.
Number 11.
I'm sure he does.
Wait, number 11?
It's no disrespect.
Number 11's
Chris
out
Moore.
there.
I mean, I guess it is kind of a disrespect to Chris Moore.
No disrespect, Chris Moore, but
with all due respect, I think they'd be better off with DeAndre Hopkins.
Here's some disrespect.
Yeah. 615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll continue the conversation on DeAndre Hopkins. What do you make of Hopkins visiting the Titans? And should the Titans sign DeAndre Hopkins? We'll take your thoughts on that. And Joe Rexrode has beef with Caroline Fenton and Michelle Knesvik. We'll get into that coming up next as well. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The Titans offseason work continues with minicamp this week.
Will is competing. He's working hard, trying to take care of those rookie guys who've been skilled players.
What will we see out of the rookies and the veterans for the two-tone blue?
Yeah, coming together, learning a new offense right now. I'll take advantage of every rep we get.
Talking Titans? Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Ray Jeter here with Harness. Are you looking to take ownership in a position that will support your growth and development? We are an excavation and site utilities contractor. Several things set us apart from our competition, but we take the most pride in the professional development of our people. We have multiple openings for operators, pipe layers, and laborers. Our pay and benefits are second to none, including our 401k program. Apply today at selectharness.com. Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
312 Pizza Company is a proud sponsor of Nashville Sounds Baseball on 102.5 The Game.
Buffalo Bill's Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming welcomes you as you enter Yellowstone Park's east entrance. 5 museums in one, including a wonderful Plains Indian Museum. Welcome to the West. Buffalo Bill's Center of the West, Cody, Wyoming.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You know why insurance companies use all those cute and funny characters? To distract you from realizing you're only getting one option. If you want to compare prices, you're forced to visit multiple websites just to get one quote at a time. But not with Zander Insurance, because they work for you. Zander is a broker that shops dozens of top companies to find the best competitive rates for the coverage you need, and they keep reviewing your policy every year to make sure you're getting the best value. They're always available to answer questions, handle problems, and make sure that when it comes to insurance, your life is simple and hassle-free. You even have direct access to their senior management team. If your current company or agent doesn't do this much for you, let Zander Insurance help. Compare rates online at Zander.com or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch. When Zander works for you, you're going to see the difference. Again, that's 800-356-1780, or you can visit Zander.com with no characters needed.
For more than a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. In their car, at home, or on the job, more than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. AM radio is also the backbone of the emergency alert system, which keeps us safe in dangerous times. It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
If it's important to Nashville,
I'll put it out right now.
it's important to Jared Stillman.
Like, that's it.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Something is going on, and the question is, what does it mean?
Or give the strong opinion.
And just needed the bozo offensive coordinator to stop ruining the quarterback.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Rick Stockstill, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Hopkins, the Titans bring in DeAndre Hopkins this weekend. I think Treylon Burks is pissed. I think that he is pissed. The first thing out of his mouth was, that's out of my control. Doesn't sound like a glowing recommendation from Treylon Burks. Doesn't sound like he's too peachy about the idea. He goes on to say, hey, I'm good with the guys that we have in the room. I can learn a lot from him, totally. Like, I can, his play speaks for itself. It's a guy I grew up watching, but, I'm good. Like, I think our room is good. I think Treylon Burks is upset. To Chris's point, when Chris has said, if I'm Treylon Burks, I would be pissed. Thinking about it through that mindset and hearing what Treylon Burks had to say, I do think that he is upset.
Chris Sanders had the comment, if he was Treylon Burks, that he would be pissed. Mm-hmm. He told us that at the beginning of the show, and then we heard the Treylon Burks comments. We hadn't heard them.
Right.
And then hearing those comments from Treylon Burks, I'm not going to lie, my ears perked up a little bit when you heard it. It wasn't a glowing endorsement. His first comments were, well, if we get him, we get him. If we don't, we don't. That's fine. And no offense, but I'm cool with the room that we have now. And then when he was asked, well, can you learn from him? Yeah, of course I can learn from him. I've watched him growing up.
That was Caroline and Michelle on Fentovic yesterday. That's what I'm naming the show.
Nice.
Self-naming the show.
That's good. There was a lot more.
Fentovic.
I kind of love that.
Yeah.
Fentovic?
Wait, say it again?
Fentovic.
Yeah, Fentovic. Yeah.
That's what I said.
That's what she said.
I thought you just said Shentovic. I'm like,
there's no S, no.
Okay.
Give it to me, Joe.
Let's talk Titans, okay?
Oh, I hate you.
All right. First of all, did you hear the whole segment from them?
No,
you were golfing. Yeah,
driving the ball hundreds of yards down the course.
Should we play Treylon Burks' comments?
Play Treylon Burks. Yeah.
Okay, so Treylon Burks, obviously, the DeAndre Hopkins report was making its rounds yesterday, and a lot of Titans players were asked about DeAndre Hopkins coming to visit the Titans coming up this Sunday. And one of those players was Treylon Burks. Here's what Treylon Burks had to say yesterday at St. Thomas Sports Park.
Report out that DeAndre is coming to visit on Sunday. It's the first free agent stop. What would you think about having him as a teammate?
That's something that I can't control. He's an awesome player, great player. Would be fun to play with him. If we end up getting him, then we get him. If we don't, then we don't. But no offense to him, he's a great player. I'm just glad. I like playing with who we have here.
Somebody you could learn a lot from, though.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he would be a great mentor. I've watched D-Hop since I was younger. One of my favorite players, and he just carries himself the right way, and then his game on the field just speaks for itself. So
that was Treylon Burks yesterday over at St. Thomas Sports Park.
Okay, so before I weigh in, your thoughts on his. That response, how you would interpret it, and the idea that Chris Sanders said he'd be pissed and that these guys think that
well, I will say, the only weird part about that answer to me was like the no offense part. I was like, well, there's no offense that you're going to going to give to that. But
no offense.
So that part was weird. I will admit that.
Okay.
But it kind of sounded to me like a guy that's like, well, if we get him, that'll be great. But if we don't, he's trying to emphasize that he's comfortable with the players they have in the room if they don't get it.
Yeah. Did you watch the video?
I was trying to pull it up, but it won't load right now.
Okay, here's the first thing about this and we're getting into pet peeve territory because
good.
And it goes into other things that we hear at 2:00. It's like when Jared's like, well, he was a GM, and so if he says that the plane from Green Bay was a CIA asset, well, then by golly, he used to be a GM. Great. What? What does that have to do with anything? So Chris Sanders, love Chris Sanders. What does being, because that's what you guys said multiple, or at least Caroline did, he was a receiver in this league. What does that have to do with anything? Like, if we're talking about route trees or dealing with a quarterback or receiver-specific stuff, great. But, I mean, Chris Sanders is one person who's saying I'd be pissed. So it's like human job, right?
Or being in a locker room.
Okay, being in a locker room, but there's all different kinds of personalities and people in locker rooms, correct?
Sure.
Right. So I think we're making too much of Chris Sanders was a receiver. So, wow, he said it. Because, again, I just was listening to this. I'm like, you guys are acting like this is like huge breaking news that Chris Sanders said, I'd be pissed. But the second thing is, if Traylon Burks actually is pissed about this, first of all, I'd be real worried about him. As a Titans fan, I'd be worried. And also, if you're him, you can't see that DeAndre Hopkins probably increases your production
So it's
this
gonna
year.
help you.
I can't help you, man. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, you guys may be right. I mean, maybe he is pissed. I did not. I'm not sitting there yesterday thinking like, ooh. I mean, you're right. It sounded a little weird when he said, yeah, no offense. But I kind of took that as like, oh, wow. And then he's like, I mean, but, like the guys in the room, who I'm way better than all those
It was
guys.
just the phrasing of it. Like, the no offense part of it was kind of weird. It's like, okay, well, you're not. I don't think he's going to take offense to anything you're saying.
Yeah.
Good Morning Football, just NFL Network. And they asked him the same question, and then his response was like, oh my gosh, I found out, today, and I already DM'd him on Twitter.
Right.
So, I mean, comparing them, I just think when I heard it after the interview with Chris, because that did not even cross my mind. When I heard the DeAndre Hopkins news at practice, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Didn't even cross my mind. He says that, yeah, we run with it because we're like, oh, well, we haven't even actually talked about that perspective. Like, could he be pissed about a situation like this? And then hearing the comments for the first time, and I will say, I didn't see the video. You were there, Joe. I just heard the audio of it, and I'm still waiting to see the video. I was kind of like, ooh, the little, like, no offense. That was kind of weird, but I guess I could understand him trying to, be like, oh, we got playmakers too, like trying to amp up those guys because that is his current wide receiver room. But then also hearing, like, a different player, Jeffrey Simmons, being like, oh, I already DM'd him, and, like, yeah, we'd love to get him. I get it. He probably just found out, but...
Yeah, I mean, he's put on the spot.
Yeah.
I mean,
as LD from McMinnville points out, while discussing Hopkins, did Traylon Burks touch his face?
I don't know. You know what?
How many times?
I got to remember to...
you got to count.
I got to remember to look for that. And another thing, like Caroline was making the point, and you're in this league... to paraphrase, like, you're competitive, like you, right? Like I'm the best, like, and absolutely.
For sure, yeah.
But again, like, to me, if that is your mindset, then you embrace this, right? I mean, I think you brought up A.J. Brown, very different situation, but, A.J. Brown was thrilled to have Julio Jones coming in here. Traylon Burks is still trying to prove he's a number one receiver. Because that's another thing Chris said is like, well, now he's going to be the number one receiver. I'm like, well, I mean, Traylon Burks is number one by default, but again, like, I don't understand Chris's opinion. That's fine. But, like, if you're a receiver in this league and you're in this room and then you have someone over there that maybe you take a little coverage away from you on a particular play, that's good for you. I mean, right now, Traylon Burks, if he's as good as he looks in the spring, which we all have to take with a grain of salt, and everything else is the same, he's going to be doubled all the time.
Right. Like, I mean, look at who else is the other options
that's
are
what I'm saying.
Like,
everything else is the same.
It's going to be, you're
Double
going
and
to
Nick
focus
Westbrook
on him.
King.
Yeah, the NWI getting doubled down the field. I mean, look, I took it yesterday as a young player who doesn't want to overcommit one way or the other, like doesn't want to get excited one way or the other. Like, I didn't take that as, man, I'm going to be really mad if they sign DeAndre Hopkins. I took it as, let me toe the line here as carefully as I can, because if he comes in here, it doesn't work out, and they don't sign him, I can't just be like, oh, this would be so awesome, and then you don't get him, and you look at the rest of the receiving core, and it's like,
oh, that'd be great.
We need him bad.
Chris Moore and NWI, get down that depth chart. Yes, let's go. I love that idea. Yeah, I mean, and you're up there, and you get asked that question, and I think that's what, like, oh, you got to be, that's exactly what I think. I don't know for sure he's not angry. If he is, again, I'd worry about the guy. I don't think a competitor who is an achiever at this level, and what he has done in college, first-round pick, should shy away from 31-year-old DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, I would say, too, though, like, and I would, this would probably be my response to Chris Sanders, too. Like, if you're Treylon Burks and DeAndre Hopkins does come here, number one, I agree with you. I think that helps you in coverage. But number two, like, you can still go prove that you're a number one receiver,
Absolutely.
right? Like, I would take that and be like, okay, great.
Now you have a good two.
Right.
Yeah, I obviously, if the Titans sign him, whoever signed him, they hope that he is a number one caliber receiver still.
For sure.
There's question about that. A lot of question about that.
Well, right. If this was 2-3 years ago and they made this move, then yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is going to be the number one receiver. I think if he stays,
still, you're a number two who's going to get the ball and get great matchups like Corey Davis did and got paid because of it.
Right. Now, when Hopkins, like, if Hopkins comes in now for the Titans, when they walk on the field in week one, Hopkins is going to be the number one guy. I mean, let me put it to you this way. He's going to occupy the most attention from the opposing defense until Treylon Burks on the field proves otherwise. I mean, it's going to be Hopkins.
So, again, be happy.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But the more I think about this, the more I just think it makes a ton of sense for everybody involved on the Titans. I think it helps Treylon Burks.
It helps everyone.
It helps everybody. And I think it should be something that they pursue.
Now, Chris Moore, NWI,
probably not as much.
Those guys, they have to look at it like, I'm going to get less opportunities. Burks is not going to get less opportunities.
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Joe has yelled at the entire Fentovic program.
I feel like I'm the station hall monitor now. I need to stop.
I feel like, though,
old man.
I told you yesterday, you're an instigator.
I feel like
I'm a de-instigator.
And maybe because I was in it, like the 4-hour-long show, I feel like though we played we played devil's advocate and kind of talked about all this stuff, but maybe there were just a couple sentences and a couple segments that really irked you.
Irked me.
Joe's pulling off the road, left and right, texting.
I had to nip this. I had to nip this in the butt. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
I listened to like 2-3 segments. So yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Sorry, whatever I missed.
And then Joe tunes off and we go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm sorry.
Why can't you be more like Jared and listen to every piece of audio out there?
Michelle versus Joe, and then he says, "I'm sorry" at the end.
Yes. I can't work as hard as Jared. Who does? No one does.
Robby and
What
Rexrode.
beach is he on right now?
I know exactly where he is. Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Call TJ's team today to see why they are referred to so often. Coming up next, it's time for the best and worst things in sports for this week. We'll take your thoughts on our text line, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3, The Game.
This fall,
Andy, 24-21, your final.
The Game.
All by himself, for a one-hand flash.
Gets bigger.
The doors on the board.
Your new home for Vanderbilt Athletics is 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan. Football, men's basketball, baseball, and women's basketball all live here. Your home for Vanderbilt Athletics is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
You enjoy the thrill of gambling, but what happens when it becomes a problem? Whether you want to cut back or quit gambling altogether, the Gambling Clinic has been helping people change their gambling for over 2 decades. We're here to help, not to judge. The Gambling Clinic is a Tennessee-based clinic offering in-person and telehealth support to help people win back their life. Visit us at thegamblingclinic.com. This project is funded by the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
Interest rates may be high everywhere else, but now at Genesis Diamonds, you can get 0 interest on any purchase. 5 years, 0 interest financing with nothing down. Beautiful eternity bands, 1-carat diamond stud earrings, and more. Starting at only $50 a month. At Genesis, we are always looking for ways to do more for our amazing customers. So don't miss this. 5 years, 0 interest financing. Imagine that $6,000 designer ring is just $100 a month. We'll even finance the sales tax. Now through July 1st only. And only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
Do you have a VA loan? In this housing market, homeowners with VA loans have access to a ton of instant cash. Hey, Willie Donick here. Do you need cash to pay off credit cards and other high-interest loans? How does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound right now? Loan Pronto is helping veterans every day get the money they need with a quick and easy zero-cost cash-out refi with zero closing costs. With a VA loan, it's really cool because you can access up to 100% of your home's value. That's 100%. Use that money to pay off credit cards, home equity lines, car loan, consolidate all your payments into one check per month and close in 2 weeks. Most homeowners who do this end up cutting their overall monthly payments by $800. And Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They're doing loans with super low APRs, and they love working with veterans. Call now. See what your options are. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So, you've got an oil change coming up. Consider STP Conventional to save on motor oil for your everyday vehicle. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP oil filter for only $26.99. Get the complete job done at the right price at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com. Get in zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
1025 The Game and Green Trees Company Dispensary want to send you to see Bryan Adams at Bridgestone Arena Saturday, June 17th with very special guests Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Listen all week long to Robby and Rexrode for your cue to call to win tickets to Bryan Adams and Joan Jett at Bridgestone Arena.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. The best and worst of the sports week, now on Robby and Rexrode.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's that time of the week, time for the best and worst things in sports. We'll take your submissions on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, kick us off with your best and worst things in sports for this week.
Okay, so I had this great idea.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute. We didn't do this last week, right? But this may be a serious old man moment, so you guys just be ready.
Okay.
I think I'm good. Because I don't remember best and worst thing in sports last week, but I had this really cool idea. My best thing is that the Nashville Predators have made a strong decision and brought in, I think, a promising young coach in Andrew Brunette.
There you go.
It's okay, right?
It's allowed.
The timing, I'm trying to think of the timing last week. Did we deal with this last week in this?
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, I mean, I think it's okay that it was last week because it's still newish.
But I think it happened before the best.
It did, but I don't think you.
But it wasn't the thing. Correct. So yeah. So I mean, I think look, Andrew Brunette is so far. I mean, I've been impressed. You have to like, though the sample size is small and limited in some ways. You have to like what it is, and it's a clear new direction. And look, that in tandem with what Barry Trotz is saying about what they want to do, and B, it's got to be exciting to fans. It's an exciting time to be a Nashville Predators fan, and frankly, it's been a few years, I think, since the fan base can see, a new direction, something that could be better than being pretty good. So that's the best thing. The worst thing is the whole John Hines thing. And, it's not like crime of the century, but I'm just going, and again, I'm not talking about like mistreating someone, because Barry Trotz made it clear. He told him that he was going to go out looking. I just disagree with taking that as a strategy. It's hard for me to wrap my head around. You're okay. You stay there. You'll be my coach as a fallback. I'm going to go try to find a better coach than you. Just fire him. That's just my opinion. Just fire him. Fire him and go do a search And look, I guess in that situation, you could lose out on your top candidates, and then you could be left with something that leaves you unhappy. But honestly, you had Carl Taylor anyway.
You did.
So that's my worst.
There you go. Best and worst things in sports from Rexrode. Michelle Konasvik, your best and worst things in the world of sports.
So I'll start with my worst in sports this week. So there was a Syracuse women's basketball player named Tiana Mangakahia. I covered her while I was actually at Syracuse, and she had a really inspiring story about how, she decided to come back instead of go to the WNBA, and she ended up, getting diagnosed with cancer and had to go through chemo. But then ultimately she was able to make her comeback at Syracuse and play basketball again. And she's been playing in Australia for the last couple of years. And on social media, she actually announced the other day that the cancer is back. Cancer just sucks all around. She's just such an inspiring, such a strong person, such a fun basketball player to watch. But just hope she can't play basketball anymore, but hopefully that she'll be able to live a quality life. Cancer sucks all around. I think that's a worst probably for everybody. But just an amazing person. I got a chance to know her while I was at Syracuse. So that's definitely my worst thing in sports this week. My best thing in sports this week, I think it came out yesterday. So Kate Scott is the new play-by-play announcer for the Seahawks. She is the only woman to have done play-by-play for the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, college football, and the Olympics. So what an incredible, I don't know if you guys have ever tried to even try play-by-play. One of the hardest things to do, primarily male dominated. Now she's the play-by-play announcer for an NFL team. Pretty incredible. So
wait, what's her name again?
Kate Scott.
Kate Scott.
Nice. So new play-by-play voice for the Seahawks. Best in sports this week.
I have tried to do play-by-play, just kind of like screwing around in the
so
press box
hard.
before. Didn't go very well.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stick to talking like this.
I actually should play the audio for you guys for one of my college classes. I called the Colgate football game with my stepdad. It's
Nice.
quite hilarious. I'm like, and then the ball is snapped.
And, who was that? Can't see the number. Who's that?
Number 12.
That's awesome. All right, my best thing in sports, the Tennessee Volunteers advancing to the Super Regional for the third consecutive year. And we'll see what happens. They're going on the road. It's going to be a tough environment down there in Southern Miss, but this is now a pretty good model of consistency from Tony Vitello and this Tennessee baseball program of, in some cases, knocking on the door, in some cases, breaking down the door to get to the College World Series, and we'll see if they're able to do it again this year. But 3 trips in a row to the Super Regional for that program doesn't happen very often, and we talked about him yesterday. We talked to him yesterday. They are building something very special up there in Tennessee, and that's going to be, as long as he's there, that's going to be a program that is going to be reckoned with in the SEC and on a national level. And we'll see if they can go down to Hattiesburg, Mississippi this weekend and advance to the College World Series. But Tennessee Vols baseball, my best thing in sports. And honestly, I could go just Tennessee Clemson, the game itself, the best thing in sports. It was awesome on Saturday night. So Tennessee baseball, my best thing in sports. My worst thing is it's just the PGA Live situation.
Okay, good. I figured one of you would take that.
Well, we talked about it a lot yesterday, and this is going to be something that continues to unfold as we go on. Now, Rory McIlroy got up there yesterday, and just watching his face throughout the entire press conference yesterday was pretty funny. Like, he took the high road for the most part, but also said in there, like in his quotes, I hate Liv. I hope Liv goes away. I feel the same about Liv. And he made the point a couple of times, which is an interesting one. Like, I guess technically, when you look at the merger, it's not Liv, it's PGA Tour, it's the DP World Tour, and it's the PIF fund, but that is where Liv gets all their stuff from. So we can be technical about it all we want, but Liv is, look, the Liv golfers won. I don't know how you can't argue otherwise. But just the way that whole thing came about, and apparently McIlroy, he got the phone call like Sunday night. Somebody called him and said, "Hey, I need to talk to you in the morning." And then they told him, Monday night, and then they need to talk to you in the morning. And then they came out with the news there. But most of the rest of the PGA Tour players basically finding out on Twitter, probably not a great way to handle that either. So my worst thing in sports there.
Yeah, that's a great worst. There's a whole bunch of different angles of that being worst.
Yes. Uncle Fingus on the text line says the OVC and Big South merging for football, his best thing in the world of sports. His worst thing, Tiger Woods and everyone else who missed out on a huge payday from Liv. This from Uncle Fingus on the text line.
William from Madison, the best. Liam Hendricks coming back from cancer early this year.
Yep.
Got the win Sunday on National Cancer Survival Day. And the worst, Vanderbilt baseball.
Yeah.
I thought about the best, Tennessee baseball best, Vanderbilt baseball worst.
How about Kentucky baseball, baby?
I was surprised that, maybe an honorable mention for Michelle Knezovic.
That's right.
Big Kentucky baseball fan now.
What is it? Fentovich?
Fentovic.
We need Fentovic. Yeah, why would I say Fentovich?
I don't know.
What am I talking about? A battle about. Did you guys talk about LSU Kentucky baseball all yesterday?
No, we didn't.
Didn't have a segment arguing point counterpoint.
We had a lot to talk about regarding Traylon Burks' emotions.
You did. His anger, his pure anger and hatred of football.
Yes. Just the irate Traylon Burks yesterday.
I'm leaving.
615-737-1025.
Take my ball with me.
Our phone number. This has been the best and worst things in sports. You can check it out every Thursday morning at 6:45 here on the program. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook, live from our 102.5 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Coming up next, we'll get back into the Titans and the DeAndre Hopkins situation. DeAndre Hopkins scheduled to visit the Titans coming up on Sunday. We'll get into that and more with Nick Suss from the Tennessean. That is next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
Blown out in one game against a team that's just flat out better than you.
And your source for Nashville sports.
How many needs are you going to create for yourself this offseason?
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland tractor and bush hog needs. Swing by the store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville or give their sales team a call. They're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment, New Holland Tractor, bush hog, and more.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about washing your car? Right now, you can get the Armor All Ultimate Car Care Detailing 8-piece kit for only $25. That's soap, a wash mitt, wheel cleaner, tire shine, glass wipes, and interior wipes, all together in a bucket. Give your car the shine it deserves at the right price, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Your Game Center update.
I'm Michelle Knezovic. The big news yesterday, Tom Pelissero reported that DeAndre Hopkins would be taking his first visit to the Tennessee Titans. When Mike Vrabel was asked after practice, here was his answer.
Well, the first thing is we want players that want to be here. I think we want people that want to be here, and then we'll work through anything else. And so, we brought in a bunch of different players. DeAndre will be somebody that we'll bring in early next week, at the end of this week, and go through the same visit that we go through with everybody, and then start the process.
The Denver Nuggets defeated the Miami Heat in Miami 109-94 in Game 3. They now lead the series 2-1. It was a huge night from Nikola Jokic, recording 32 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists. This report is presented by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Michelle Knezovic for 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
A gutty performance.
Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning, talking Tennessee Titans. And to help us do that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Nick Suss from the Tennessean. Nick, good morning. How you doing?
Pretty good, y'all. Thanks for having me back.
Thanks for being on with us. We appreciate it. So, Nick, obviously a lot of conversation over the last 12 to 15 hours or so about DeAndre Hopkins and his visit scheduled with the Tennessee Titans coming up on Sunday. So what do you make of the DeAndre Hopkins situation, and how interested would you be in his services if you're Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel?
I mean, just from a practical perspective, NFL teams start 2 to 3 receivers. There's no world where DeAndre Hopkins wouldn't be one of the 2 to 3 best receivers on the Tennessee Titans. It's just objectively good to improve your roster. So if you can get him, that's a good thing. I believe his worst ever season was 572 yards in 9 games, and I don't think any player on the Tennessee Titans roster has 572 yards in a 16 or 17 game season in their career. It's just objectively good to make your team better. There's obviously no argument there. You do have to worry about fit. You do have to worry about what it'll do to the locker room. You do have to worry about his health profile and his age, and compare him to the Julio Jones pickup and the Robert Woods pickup and this team's history with aging receivers. But no, I mean, if you have an opportunity to go get a player who's going to make your team objectively better at an area that's probably your biggest weakness on the roster, you jump at it. Now, is DeAndre going to choose the Titans? This is the first visit. We don't know how many other visits there are going to be. We don't know how interested he is in joining a contender, and we don't know exactly what his goals are quite yet. So there's obviously a lot that's going to have to go on there. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to oversimplify. I don't want to make it seem like this is the simplest thing in the world, but this is a team that needs receivers, and DeAndre Hopkins is a really good receiver. That should be the only thing that matters at the end of the day.
Nick, you mentioned the locker room. In particular, Traylon Burks, what was your takeaway from his reaction to being asked about DeAndre Hopkins yesterday?
I think that was pretty much what you're supposed to say. I don't think that he went too far beyond. He said, yeah, this is a guy that was one of my heroes growing up, and it'd be cool to play with him, but he also backed up his teammates. He didn't say, yeah, we need this guy. He wasn't actively campaigning for him. I think that Traylon's matured. I think that was pretty clear yesterday. And yeah, I think this is a guy that would benefit greatly from having a veteran presence that helps him, that mentors him. And he said that himself. He'd love to have that mentorship, but I don't know. He probably had 10 minutes to prepare thoughts about it. The news broke while he was on the practice field. I don't know if he'd given too much thought to the idea, but I do think that, yeah, Traylon, for a guy who is trying to emerge as a number one receiver, I don't think it would inhibit his growth playing with a fringe Hall of Fame guy like DeAndre Hopkins. I think that's something that would, A, take a lot of pressure off of him if there was another receiver in the room that could help him out like DeAndre could, and B, could do a lot to, foster his growth. Robert Woods mentored him a little bit last year, I'm sure, but now that Traylon is seemingly more comfortable, more happy, more willing to play the position well, I think that having somebody else like DeAndre in the room could be huge for him.
So, Nick, you talked about it, and I totally agree. The receiving spot as currently constructed for the Titans, probably the weak spot on their roster right now. So let's say this plays out and they land DeAndre Hopkins. How much better, if you're a Titans fan, do you feel about maybe a starting receiver trio of Burks, Phillips, and Hopkins, as opposed to Burks, Phillips, and NWI or Chris Moore, and what that depth looks like there?
Yeah, I've been saying all offseason, if you look at Traylon Burks in year 1 to year 2 of first-round receivers and project forward of how much better he's supposed to be, I've thrown that number of 850 yards. If Traylon Burks can go for 850 yards, I think this offense can work pretty well, assuming Derrick Henry is still Derrick Henry. That's a pretty low bar. That's a little bit worse than an average team's number one. If you have two guys that do that, if you have two guys who can be between 850 and 950 yards, which I think DeAndre Hopkins, assuming he plays 16, 17 games, is pretty much a shoo-in for that, you're looking at an offense that could be up in the top half of the league in productivity. Now you're going to have to take a lot of, the offensive line's going to have to improve in a lot of ways, and Ryan Tannehill's going to have to get back to his form from 2 years ago, and the offense is going to have to run more smoothly than it did under Todd Downing, and there's going to be a lot that has to cross for it to be that. But just simple productivity numbers. I mean, a lot of people are hyping up Chigakonkwo. I think all of us are doing that, and you have a tight end who can be productive. You have two receivers who can be up around that 800-yard mark. Suddenly you're looking at three productive pass-catching options and a top 5 running back in the NFL. That's really good. How is it going to work out? That depends on the scheme. That depends on so much that has to be seen. But no, I mean, this isn't a sky's the limit situation. I still think there are limits closer to the ground with this offense, but it'd be tough to stop. It'd be pretty reminiscent of the glory days 3-4 years ago of when the offense was really, really humming.
What do you think, Nick, about what we've seen out there in terms of the actual offense compared to last year? I know it's going to be a lot easier when we see them play actual football against other teams, but it does look a little different to me. What are your takeaways so far, just from the scheme itself and the stuff they're running out there?
Yeah, I guess the big takeaway is it's probably going to be harder for defenses to figure out what's coming. And that's good. That's good. I think that they're going to probably do a better job of diversifying what they do based on the personnel that's on the field. I think that with the exception of Derrick Henry kind of being a giveaway, I think most players on the field aren't going to be married to this guy's on the field when they run, this guy's on the field when they pass kind of packages that slowed them down a little bit last year. And I think that diversity is going to give them flexibility on first down, on second down. That's mostly what we've been seeing, frankly. But I don't know. I think that if you have an offense that just crosses the bare minimum threshold of defenses can't sit on the run and wait for the pass type stuff, that's going to be a big asset. And whether it's because Tyjae Spears is there or whether it's because of different ways they might use Chigakonkwo, or maybe it's because Kyle Phillips is healthy and they have more of a true slot receiving option. I just think this offense, the first thing that stands out is so much less straightforward. And when you have that multiplicity, you're going to do a better job of keeping defenses on their heels.
Nick Suss from the Tennessean with us here on Robby and Rexrode. So, Nick, I realize there's a very limited sample size at this point, but what have been your impressions thus far of where Malik Willis and Will Levis are at this point?
It's interesting. This is my first offseason covering an NFL team, and you kind of expect every single NFL quarterback to look like an outstanding NFL quarterback at all times. I think that Ryan Tannehill's very clearly better right now than these guys, and that's not a surprise. He's a 11, 12-year NFL vet, and these are guys that came into the NFL as documented project players. I don't think you should ever be surprised when we spend an entire draft process saying, hey, Malik Willis is going to take a year to figure things out, and it's taken him a little over a year to figure things out, and then we say the same thing about Will Levis, and it's taken him some time to figure things out. I think that maybe this is the optimist in me, I'm not out on either guy. I think they both have immense talent. I think that Malik, seeing him in practice, there are some days, some plays where I think, yeah, that's the talent. That's why you picked the guy in the third round. That's why there were some people clamoring for him to be a first-round pick. The way he moves, the way he controls his body in the pocket, the way he does everything physically, I still am immensely impressed by, even if he still needs to kind of speed things up and get a little bit better on schedule. And I think playing in a Tim Kelly offense that Deshaun Watson thrived in could help Malik Willis, who was trained with the same coaches that Deshaun Watson's trained with since he was in high school. I think that could be a huge asset for him. And when it comes to Levis, obviously he's been a pro for 6 weeks. It's going to take some time. Very few people show up to their first mini camp 6 weeks after being drafted and are already mastering and helming an offense. I think that he's just kind of, I don't want to say taking his lumps, because I don't think he looks lost. I just think there are some plays that he's playing with a second team or a third team offense, and he's just not the best player on the field anymore. And there are some things that he hasn't been able to do quite as well as Ryan Tannehill. But again, you wouldn't expect him to be doing things as well as Ryan Tannehill 6-7 weeks into his pro career. So I don't know. I think these are guys that are continuing to grow. I still don't necessarily know how much more they need to grow to be in the conversation of, can they help this team as much as Ryan right now? But I'm not out on either of them. I think it would be silly to be out on either of them this early in their careers.
I guess we should talk about defense a little.
Yeah.
We're so obsessed with this team's offense. Well, let me ask you this: how do you interpret just the secondary? Big news yesterday in the secondary that Elijah Molden was back out there, but no Fulton. Karski tried to ask about that, and Vrabel did the "you're out of questions, Paul" thing. But no Fulton. Fulton's in the building, not out there. Byard talking today. How do you interpret those situations?
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by this cornerback room, whether it's Chris Jackson, Trey Avery, some of these guys that are getting more reps with Molden being limited, Fulton not being out there. I don't know. I think that depth at cornerback is intriguing, is fascinating. Shane Bowen said something along the lines yesterday of there's going to be more competition at cornerback than maybe any other place on the roster. And when you look at guys this team could have, the potential guys like Fulton, like Molden, we can even throw Caleb Farley into the mix there when he gets healthy, compared with Roger McCreary was really good as a rookie by rookie standards, but he's trying to find a role to stick in. And Sean Murphy-Bunting and some of these other corners, I really don't know how the depth chart is going to shake out after the top 2 or 3 guys. I don't know how the rotation's going to look. And then at safety, beyond Byard and Hooker, there is a lot of question, and people take for granted how consistent Kevin Byard has been, rarely missing a snap, and you kind of do like having that, but there's virtually no depth behind those guys with experience. And so Elijah Molden trying the position, I think that's a good thing. I think he fits well as a safety in this defense, but so many moving pieces, so hard to say, especially with the injury risk that so many of these people have carried with them the last few years. I don't feel super confident in the depth right now, but I am very much fascinated by what the pecking order ends up being.
Well, Nick, we really appreciate you taking time to be with us. Thanks for joining us as always, and we will talk to you soon.
Hold on. I got to do a public intervention real quick. Okay. Nick, khakis and long sleeve shirts, you got to stop, man. I worry about you. This is
Rexrode giving fashion advice? Is that what we're doing?
I mean, I may go tank top today. I may go tank top and bathing suit today.
The muscles are out.
I feel uncomfortable seeing Nick out there in khakis and long sleeve shirts.
I just don't think people want to see how short the shorts I own are. So I'm going to keep with long pants. It's just safety for the rest of the. I don't want to blind people with my thighs. They're practicing. It's too busy. I'll keep with the sun protection.
Hey, I mean, Vrabel's wearing long sleeves all the time. He's wearing a hoodie in mid-August in training camp.
This is true. Okay. Well, maybe, yeah. Now that you mention it, maybe it's not a bad idea.
Nick, thanks, man. Really appreciate you taking time to be with us.
Yep, talk soon.
Absolutely. Nick Suss from the Tennessee and our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll continue to take your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025. Get back into the DeAndre Hopkins discussion coming up next. Got a lot of thoughts on that to get to on the text line as well. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
The NBA's best battle for the ultimate prize.
NBA champions.
Every big bucket.
Three-pointers right side is good.
Every big stop.
The steal rejected.
We are your home for the NBA Finals. Presented by Superbook Sports. Hear every game on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The FedEx Cup playoffs start in Memphis at the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Come out to TPC Southwind August 9th through the 13th and watch the PGA Tour's top players battle to make it through Memphis. Enjoy Memphis at its finest with specialty cocktails, local eats, a vibrant atmosphere, and much more. 2 kids 15 and under admitted free with a ticketed adult. Daily grounds and upgraded tickets are available now at FedExChampionship.com.
Interest rates may be high everywhere else, but now at Genesis Diamonds, you can get 0 interest on any purchase. 5 years, 0 interest financing with nothing down. Beautiful eternity bands, 1-carat diamond stud earrings, and more. Starting at only $50 a month. At Genesis, we are always looking for ways to do more for our amazing customers. So don't miss this. 5 years, 0 interest financing. Imagine that $6,000 designer ring is just $100 a month. We'll even finance the sales tax. Now through July 1st only. And only at Genesis Diamonds. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. Hiller's Heat Wave Heroes are keeping you from getting burned this summer. If you know your home needs an air conditioning replacement, do not wait until it breaks down. You do not want to be sweating in your home. This month, get a free UV light and free electronic air cleaner when you buy select new HVAC systems. Or get a whole home water filtration for just $59 a month. Or get a new whole home generator for just $139 a month. Call Hiller's Heat Wave Heroes to save the day. Visit happyhiller.com to book.
Buffalo Bill's Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming welcomes you as you enter Yellowstone Park's East entrance. 5 museums in one, including the fantastic Whitney Western Art Museum. Welcome to the West. Buffalo Bill's Center of the West, Cody, Wyoming.
More than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio for their news, traffic, weather, sports, and a community connection. It's the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times. It's critical that we keep AM radio in cars, because when cell and internet services are down, this free emergency service could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
This week's Nashville's best deal is from River Queen Voyages. It's a fun and unique way to cool off in Nashville this summer. Nashville's River Fun Authority gives you the best views of the city with skyline kayaking, river scavenger hunts, and a party pontoon with your own captain. Book your downtown river adventure at riverqueenvoyages.com. And while supplies last, get half off a $50 gift card at thegamenashville.com/deals. That's thegamenashville.com/deals.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Good morning. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty.
I have the radio on. I'm listening to
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, where their advanced Pay by TJ option can save you thousands when selling your home. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning. I got some tickets to give away to see Bryan Adams with very special guest Joan Jett and the Blackhearts coming up at Bridgestone Arena on Saturday, June 17th. Be caller number 3, 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 will win a pair of tickets to see Bryan Adams with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts coming up at Bridgestone Arena Saturday, June 17th. Contest brought to you by Green Trees Company, a family-owned cannabis company and dispensary providing high-quality legal THC products for anyone seeking medicine, relief, or wellness. Located in Hendersonville and a new location in West Nashville, and available online at greentreescompany.com. BetOnline.com. We're taking your thoughts on DeAndre Hopkins, scheduled to visit the Titans coming up on Sunday. How much interest would you have if you're the Titans? What's the money look like for DeAndre Hopkins? All those things going to be a factor. But John from Nashville on the text line says, I'm not understanding, Joe, Robby, and Michelle. How is this even a conversation outside of money? He'd clearly be the best wide receiver immediately walking into the building. No wide receiver on the Titans had a year that compares to his worst season. This is preposterous. John from Nashville on the text line.
Well, who's arguing against DeAndre Hopkins?
I don't know.
I don't know of anybody who is. And John also later says, mentions incentives. I definitely think whatever deal they give him, definitely you should have some participation and production incentives that can get it to a certain point for sure. I mean, this screams incentive-laden contract. But again, you're right. No wide receiver in the Titans had a year that compares to Nuke's worst season. No one would ever, ever, ever argue that DeAndre Hopkins at his best DeAndre Hopkins at his best is one of the best receivers in Titans history. DeAndre Hopkins at his best is right at the top of the league, right there.
Well, DeAndre Hopkins at his best is the best wide receiver in Titans history. Yes.
Yeah. There you go. I'm trying to think. Like franchise history?
Yes.
Trying to go back to the 60s. I mean, Warren Moon had some good guys.
He did.
But, yeah. I mean, he's a phenomenal career, phenomenal talent. But we don't know. I mean, I don't know what percentage of that he is next year.
Right.
It may be not that high a percentage. Again, when they pulled the trigger on Julio, I think they timed this right. This guy, 1 year of his entire career that he missed a little bit of time. Yeah, it was the most recent year, but still, he was so productive during those 9 games. Yes, this is the right move. We saw what happened. He couldn't stay healthy. And that's my biggest concern with DeAndre Hopkins. Is he going to be able to stay healthy anymore? He had a PED thing. He's missed some time, all that stuff. No one would ever argue that he's not him, even like 80% of him, 70% of him. I don't know. You tell me. What percent of him, how low do you go to where you're still like, oh, yeah, he's a difference maker for your offense?
I mean, compared to his top level, 50% of him still, you could be productive
50% of him does something for you.
Yeah, does something for you. Now, the idea is, you want him to come in, number one, be healthy. Number two, look, the days of him coming in and being, a top 3 receiver in the league, I think are over. You get to the other side of 30 in this league, and a lot of times that starts to go the other way. If he can stay healthy, which is a huge if to me, because I'm with you. That's my biggest concern with Hopkins is how many games is he going to be able to give you? Because I still believe, if he stays healthy, that he can be a productive receiver. If he played 17 games, what could he do? Now, there's also, this Titans offense has been different the last couple of years, and you're coming into a place where you've got Tim Kelly, which, by the way, he's familiar with, so he would know the sort of offense that they're trying to run here. If he played 17 games, what exactly is he? I can't answer that question anymore. My guess is if you told me that he played 16, 17 games next year, he could still get you 1,000 yards. I think he could do that, and I'd sign up for that right now if I were the Titans.
Absolutely. But if you get, 800 plus from him and Traylon Burks,
you take it.
And with everything else, Henry, Chig, again, Kyle Phillips, like Nick said, if Kyle Phillips healthy, there's a lot of ways that this offense could start to look pretty good. No, it's you'll take that. If he can participate, then I think it's very clear. You have 2 outside receivers who are going to get the bulk of the snaps. And again, to what Nick's interpretation of Burks yesterday. You have to think about that if you're Burks or if you're anybody Moore and NWI. They're getting knocked down a peg. That's just what it is.
Well,
right?
so let me
I don't
ask
see
you
how that wouldn't be the outcome.
Agreed. So let me ask you, how much, if you're the Titans, we know what the receiver room looks like right now, and if there are 3 receivers out there, it's going to be some combination of Burks, Phillips, and most likely either NWI or Chris Moore. How much differently do you feel about a starting trio of Burks, Phillips, and Hopkins And what does that do to the depth of receiving room, just bringing in this one guy?
Well, I feel way different if he's 70%?
Yeah.
I think it's got to be about 75% of what he's been. If he's that or better, then yeah, way different. I don't know that he will be. And again, it's like you tell me, like you said, I mean, just give me the number of games he's playing. If that number of games is well into the teens, then it's going to make a difference.
Agreed. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, we've talked about the comments of him not being able to run anymore. We'll see. Maybe he can't. And if he can't, that's obviously going to limit the production that he has. But can he play? Like, can he stay healthy? Can he be on the field for the Titans? As we know, I mean, that's going to be the most important thing with this group here. He's got to be on the field. Because if he is, like, to me, it kind of slots people more or less where they're supposed to be. Like, Chris Moore, he shouldn't be starting. NWI shouldn't be starting for you. I mean, and again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to those guys.
No disrespect.
No disrespect to those guys. But, like, they're not, in my opinion, starting NFL receivers. And if they are starting in your lineup, yes, they can give you good – I mean, we've seen NWI make some plays. Chris Moore made some plays last year in Houston. I'm not saying they can't make plays, but they should not be starting wide receivers. And if they are, that's not good news for your football team, if they are, in my opinion.
And the thing is, if Hopkins is 70, 75% of what he's been plus, with Burks, the way he looks, and we'll see, but it looks good. He looks good out there. He looks explosive. Chig looks really good out there. Phillips looks pretty good out there. You know, you put it all together, and they should all benefit from it.
Caleb on the text line says, if the Titans pick up Hopkins, just add into the list of receivers whose career die in Tennessee: Moss, Johnson, Jones, Woods, and Hopkins.
Like I said earlier, these already got a spot carved out in the bust of Tennessee Titans, formerly great receivers who then became Tennessee Titans.
I mean, that list is getting pretty impressive.
It's
though.
Amazing.
I mean, Randy Moss, Julio, Andre Johnson, add DeAndre. I mean, Robert Woods is not in that category, but you add DeAndre Hopkins to that list. It's pretty good.
Yeah, Robert Woods was a good player. Yeah, I don't know that he quite makes the Hall of Fame. DeAndre Hopkins, Hall of Famer, if that's how it works out. But maybe, you know, it's like the ninth time is the charm. Maybe this is the one that works.
I mean, eventually, the odds are you're going to find one that works at some point.
You would think.
You think.
Maybe this is the one.
Maybe. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll get into more of your thoughts on DeAndre Hopkins coming up next. Also, some of Joe's takeaways from day 2 of Titans minicamp. All that coming up. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3, The Game.
The NHL Awards and NHL Draft are coming soon to the Music City. Join us live June 26th through 29th at Bridgestone Arena as we'll have you covered from the red carpet and the draft floor as the stars of tomorrow join the quest for Lord Stanley's Cup. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The choice is yours, Wednesdays at 8:45. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies. Now hiring experienced sprinkler experts. Go to jarrettfire.com. JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, a company above and beyond industry standards.
You enjoy the thrill of gambling, but what happens when it becomes a problem? Whether you want to cut back or quit gambling altogether, the Gambling Clinic has been helping people change their gambling for over 2 decades. We're here to help, not to judge. The Gambling Clinic is a Tennessee-based clinic offering in-person and telehealth support to help people win back their life. Visit us at thegamblingclinic.com. This project is funded by the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
Hey, are you seeking relief? Maybe you just want to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? Yeah, really. You can have legal THC products shipped directly to the comfort of your home. Yes, comfort in cannabis is only a website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. That's Green Trees with a Z, and change your life today.
Tenacious D and the Spicy Meatball Tour. Rightfully hailed as the greatest band on earth, Tenacious D are coming to you live September 7th, First Bank Amphitheater, Franklin, Tennessee. On sale this Friday at 10 a.m. at LiveNation.com, part of the Farm Bureau Insurance Concert Series. Buy tickets at LiveNation.com. Don't miss Tenacious D, live in all their glory.
Insightful discussion.
When we talk about the person that these players are.
3 goals scored in the first 5 minutes.
He wants to be the starter, day one. Mixed with spirited debate.
Okay, but let's Professor Derek.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
We got the whole thing covered. We got it all covered.
Here.
Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, Nashville? This is Stephen A. Smith. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5, The Game.
I'm going to call this hot news because this is the first team we're seeing DeAndre Hopkins take a visit with. There's been so much chatter, right? It seems that for months now, and then when he was finally traded or at least released from the Arizona Cardinals. So here we are now with, Hop wants to be part of a team that can win. The Tennessee Titans are a team that, I think we could debate whether or not they're in a position to win right now. But they certainly need a top receiver. Treylon Burks is coming. He's growing. He's coming along. But they need a number one guy, and I think D-Hop would be a good fit there. So I do think it's hot news because he's taking a visit. There's something there he likes. He's not trekking all the way to Nashville, Tennessee for no reason. So that's why I believe this is hot news, guys.
Yeah, it's hot news for the simple fact that D-Hop has been out there a little bit since being released by the Arizona Cardinals, but it's strange news to me. Although Tennessee does need another receiver to go with Burks. Burks in and out of the lineup trying to learn how to become a professional receiver, so D-Hop could certainly help him with that. The quarterback position is really unstable. It's a run-centric offense, heavy run. The defense is solid and sound. It's a winnable division, but it's not a team that I see finishing the deal for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Keith,
it's not one of those type of teams.
We've talked about this before, and it's usually late in the season when somehow the Tennessee Titans, with a team that looks very mediocre on paper, is winning. We always talk about the power of their head coach. And I think this is another example of the power of Mike Vrabel. He's able to get in a player like DeAndre Hopkins, who we know wants a payday after what we saw Odell Beckham Jr. get paid from Baltimore, yet this team isn't really built right now to win yet. They do have a coach there that's appealing enough to bring in a player like DeAndre Hopkins at this point.
That was Diana Rossini this morning on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max discussing DeAndre Hopkins and his visit to the Tennessee Titans. Taking your thoughts on DeAndre Hopkins, 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. So what'd you make of what Diana Rossini and Keyshawn Johnson had to say there regarding the fit with the Titans with DeAndre Hopkins?
Well, I agree with what Diana said, that, this is the fact that he's taking a visit doesn't mean nothing. It means something for sure. And I don't see DeAndre Hopkins doing visits to a place he's not serious about. And Keyshawn kind of went through the talking points of what people think of the Tennessee Titans, which, I can't argue anything he said necessarily. I just, the run-centric thing, it's going to be interesting this year. It's going to be very interesting because I think they're changing things for sure. I think they're going to look more open and a little bit more, like Nick Suss said, also just not as predictable and a little bit more fluid and all that. But they also still have a guy who is really effective, more effective when he gets a high volume of carries. I think they're going to be a little more balanced, maybe a little bit more modern this year. But that is also dependent so much on – I don't think we've talked today about what we should always go back to when we talk about the Titans offense, which is the offensive line. That's going to dictate so much of this. They can do whatever they want if the offensive line's good. But, no, I think it's absolutely significant that he's visiting. I'll be very interested to see what other teams get visits, if, how many, who. Apparently the Browns aren't getting one, so what's up with that? Why not? If I'm just a player in this league, just looking at the two rosters, take out the other stuff, just looking at the two rosters, I think the Browns have a better overall roster. Also, if you're DeAndre Hopkins, you did play with that quarterback, and you guys did some pretty good things together. So I don't why are they out? And that's the report out of Cleveland.
Maybe he doesn't like him. He may not like DeAndre.
No, that may be.
I don't know.
Yeah, it could be.
They don't want to play in the Colt. Who knows?
Yeah, I get that. I get it, especially as you get a little older. 31 years old.
I wouldn't want to play in the Colt.
No, you couldn't.
I'm not going to Cleveland.
You couldn't stand an hour up there.
No,
Right.
no way. I enjoyed the power of Mike Vrabel comments from Diana Rossini there. Like I've got the Wizard of Oz head coming up there just with Vrabel's face on it. Good stuff.
Yeah, that was an interesting comment.
That's an amazing sight.
DJ Burnside, get on it.
It's true, though. I mean, the way people look at him in the league and view him, I do think he has a lot of pull when it comes to stuff like this.
Well, there's a relationship there, right? Like
Yeah.
there's a pre-existing relationship there, which I think absolutely helps.
Like has that manifested itself in an acquisition? Like Vrabel
got Clowney.
And there was also a pre-existing relationship there. But yeah, I mean, I think certainly like there's a good reputation for Vrabel in the league among players. Like when they did, I think Sando for us, The Athletic did he does the random player surveys. Definitely a lot of guys like who would you want to play for? Vrabel got a lot of answers, a lot of the responses. So Vrabel. So yeah,
there's a nice cool video of the Pro
Bowl. It's
Bowl.
good for recruiting. Yeah. Mike Vrabel.
Nice cool video at the Pro Bowl of like Patrick Mahomes mic'd up, and he's like, I bet Vrabel's awesome to play for. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, but that's the thing. I mean, Hopkins. I mean, this tells you we talked about earlier, right? Like it tells you that the Titans are acknowledging like they need help. Like we've been all saying it, and they are acknowledging that. Also, I think it's some comment on how Vrabel feels about Hopkins because he was with him, and so if they never got into this at all, I'd kind of look at it like, maybe Vrabel just doesn't think Hopkins would be good for the locker room or something, right. or whatever, or maybe he just thinks he's done. But also him coming here, I think, kind of tells you that Hopkins probably likes Vrabel, probably doesn't dislike Vrabel from their time together, right? So that could be that pre-existing relationship could be key.
Got a text that says, so for some reason, fans, can we just never sign a veteran receiver again since it hasn't worked? Like, I get the joke, but realistically, you don't want decision makers thinking about a signing made by a past GM, right?
Yeah,
and I agree.
Oh, dude, believe me, you're getting into in that pet peeve wheelhouse again. I know. I mean, it really is irrelevant. It's fun to talk about, and if you're a fan who's been through all that, then of course you're going to make those connections. But yeah, I mean, now because Julio was so recent,
right?
That's a little bit more relevant to the discussion, right? But there are some people on the text line who are like basically out on this. And I hear you. I think there's a real chance it doesn't work out. But still, you do it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, it may not work out for sure. But as you just said, right now you're looking at Traylon Burks, and then you got Chris Moore and or NWI, depending on what they're in on the other side. The defense is like, okay, this is the guy we need to worry about right there. Okay?
Number 16.
Right.
Yep.
Put Hopkins on the field, the Traylon Burks' life gets better.
And there was one thing that Keyshawn said in that clip, and LD from McMinnville's brought it up on the text line, Mark from Ashland City's brought it up on the text line. He talked about the quarterback position being unstable. I don't know. I mean, not right now it's not. Tannehill's going to be the starting quarterback this year.
Yeah.
And you've drafted another one. So, it's not really unstable. I mean, I guess it's unstable from the standpoint of, is Will Levis going to play in 2024? But, I mean, I think right now it's pretty clear. Ryan Tannehill's the starting quarterback, and then Will Levis probably is taking over in 24. Is that unstable?
See, there's sometimes on this show it's like I feel like there's a little bit of ESP because I don't want to touch that question because I'm talking about it next.
Oh, good.
And it wasn't because of Keyshawn, but you're exactly right. It's like I do get it because when you draft a QB where you do, and people understand that Tannehill's done soon, then you think about that. But yeah, it's very clear. Tannehill's the starter and is good. So this year, DeAndre Hopkins knows who's throwing him the football. And honestly, if you're DeAndre Hopkins, what are you going to get? You're going to get a year or a 2-year deal? So that's actually stable.
Josh on the text line says, D-Hop is only coming to Tennessee if the money talks. They have the money. Vrabel was the defensive coach in Houston. I doubt they were very close in Houston. He's only visiting to see what the Titans offer. This is from Josh on text line. But you don't have to visit to see what the Titans offer.
Right. Exactly.
Also, Jim Wyatt did a story on him 3 years ago, and he said that him and weirdly enough, they were very close, even though they were on different sides of the ball, off the field and stuff. So
yeah.
I do think that does play a role.
Yeah. No, I understand the idea, different sides of the ball, but that doesn't. I mean, there's plenty of people on other sides of the ball, coach on one side, player on the other side, who you're still around each other every day in the same building, right?
Right. So, I mean, look, obviously there's a relationship there between Vrabel and Hopkins, which is great. I will be really interested to see who beyond the Titans has Hopkins in for a visit. Or, do things go so well on Sunday that they have him in for a visit and then all of a sudden the deal's signed on Monday? I mean, that could happen too. I'd be surprised if it went that quick, but awesome. It could happen.
Yeah, it's also with this situation, you also just wonder, okay, so he's coming for a visit. So how much have numbers been talked about already?
Yeah.
Is this like a confirmation visit? Okay, they're legit, they're serious. I like the numbers that they've discussed with my agent, so I'm going to go check it out to confirm it. Or is it I'm going to start taking some visits? I don't know. Well, but there's a big difference between those two scenarios.
There's a huge difference between those two scenarios. And, minicamp's going to be done, obviously. So, I mean, it's not like Ryan Tannehill and the entire team is going to be out there hey, D-Hop, come join this drill over here. We'd love to have you. We're going to throw this deep route to you and see if you can still run. That's not happening on Sunday when he gets in here. So, I do wonder, how much of this has already been discussed between the Titans and Hopkins and his agent. I don't know.
It's all very interesting. But, hey, it's exciting.
It is exciting.
It's exciting to have. What did Diana call it? Hot news?
Hot news.
Hot news?
Hot. They do hot or not. It's hot. It's hot news.
Oh, it's a hot or not thing.
Hot news.
She also says Titans like me, so I just want to throw that out there.
I feel like you just said it well there.
You did.
You just said it right.
We've had a revelation.
Okay, well, don't jinx me because I can't do it 2 times
Dude,
in a row.
say it again.
Titans.
But you know what? It's starting to take, though.
We're almost there.
We're getting there. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, it's time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on the program. Make sure you tune in for Nashville Sounds Baseball tonight at 6:05 on 94.9 The Fan. Sounds taking on the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza Company, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Family Leisure. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game has an all-star lineup Monday through Friday. Batting first at 6 a.m., it's Robby and Rexrode.
Yeah, you take that. You take that. Take 80% of that.
Followed by Chase and Michelle at 9.
Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
I need my caffeine so much.
Then it's Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace at 11.
Yep, green light, let's go.
You got a lot of options.
He say, she say. And bringing it home at 2, Jared Stillman for Stillman and Company.
That guy will be a good coach.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Family Leisure is having a come out and play sale.
That's right. Family Leisure is inviting you to come out and play with a new swimming pool, spa, or patio furniture set.
Family Leisure has hundreds of pools in stock and on sale. DIY pools start at only $16.99. 24-foot pools are only $29.99 installed.
Installation in less than 10 days on average.
More than 100 spas in stock and ready for immediate delivery. Artesian, Strong, and LBI spas starting at only $29.99.
What about the patio furniture?
Family Leisure has hundreds of sets in stock and on sale. Hanneman, Woodard, Trabatone, and Loft, all ready for immediate delivery.
Family Leisure also has the Sabre infrared grill in stock and on sale at only $14.99, and the Bull Grill Islands at only $39.99.
And Family Leisure has the Diamond Point Play Gym at only $24.99 installed and ready for immediate delivery.
Pool tables, massage chairs, and theater seating all on sale and ready for immediate delivery.
Come out and play at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Where family and fun come together.
This Father's Day, save big at Electronic Express. Don't miss a TCL 75-inch 4K TV for just $549, or an Amana laundry pair for only $399 each. Get gifts for dad with huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture and mattresses, and more. Get a Lenovo laptop for just $399, or a Traeger Pro Series grill for only $499. Get up to 3 years free financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
High interest rates may be the norm everywhere else. But right now at Genesis Diamonds, we're always thinking about our customers, and we've decided to slash interest rates down to 0% for 5 years. That means you can get those diamond earrings, that designer engagement ring, or that luxury pre-owned Rolex and spread your payments over 5 whole years without paying a dime in interest. Birthdays, anniversaries, just because gifts starting as low as $35 a month. And that's with 0 down. Now through July 1st only. And only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. Approved credit. See store for details.
You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
Every morning, first thing.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment, let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
The driving cat, the cat who could drive a car.
And it is that time of the day, time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode here on Robby and Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on the program. Joe, with Toonces the driving cat in the background, I turn things over to you.
Which, by the way, didn't you just get a text from Toonces?
Toonces is texting me on vacation right now.
What's he doing?
He says he's working out before he goes to the beach.
Enjoy the beach, Toonces.
He's working out.
Oh, okay. It's always working. Jared's always working. Working hard.
Yeah?
Yeah, go to the beach, man. Okay.
We need another Carson Wentz video of him doing sit-ups or
Cameo?
pull-ups or what he was doing.
That's true. Is he going to put that on Insta? Or was that on Insta or was that on
I think that was Insta.
Snapchat? Insta? Yeah.
I'm going to buy you a cameo from him for your birthday, Joe. Just telling you in advance.
I don't know if I can get in. I mean, I think the cameo demand for him is high, so we should have thought about this earlier. You have like a year backup. All right, so let's continue to talk about the Titans, and let's just talk about an account I don't follow, but I will tell you all that the at SNF on NBC, Sunday Night Football on NBC account has 1.1 million followers. So it must be an interesting account. It must be pretty good. I mean, it's an official Sunday Night Football account, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I assume I've just been scrolling through. It looks like they throw out a lot of graphics, a lot of stats. I mean, obviously they're trying to get everybody excited about various matchups they have coming up. It's an NFL-centric account, obviously.
Sure. With
some facts and figures, and that's interesting. I probably won't follow it, but I'll tell you why I probably won't follow it. Because on June 2nd, they put out a tweet, okay, and it's AFC QB experience in the NFL, and my favorite emoji, the eyeballs emoji.
I saw this.
By far my favorite emoji. So let's go through it. Bills, nice picture of Josh Allen, 6 years. Dolphins, Tua, 4 years. You got the Pats, Mac Wilson, 3 years. Oh, look at Aaron Rodgers. They didn't put Aaron Rodgers in a Jets helmet, but they got Aaron Rodgers in his package. 19 years. Russ Wilson, 12 years. Jimmy G, 10. God dang, Jimmy G, 10 years. Pat Mahomes, 7 years. Justin Herbert, 4 years. Burrow, 4 years. Lamar Jackson, 6 years. Good old Kenny Pickett there with 2 years. You got Deshaun Watson, 7 years. Trevor Lawrence, 3 years. I'm going through the whole list, going through the whole league. Then you got some college pictures.
Sure.
You got C.J. Stroud, rookie. Yeah, man. I mean, I think, he's probably got. You got Anthony Richardson, rookie. And in both cases, you could make the case for Davis Mills. You could make the case for Gardner Minshew. But there's a real good chance both those guys are the quarterback for those two teams.
Correct.
So rookie. And then Tennessee Titans. And look at that nice picture of Will Levis in his Kentucky helmet. Rookie.
Go Cats.
I mean, like, you are an NFL account with 1.1 million followers. You, I would assume, keep up some on the NFL.
You would think.
And you put out again, this is no disrespect to Will Levis, but Will Levis, if he saw this graphic, would laugh at it too. I mean,
there's a lot of responses to this tweet from the Sunday Night Football account, and a lot of them are about Ryan Tannehill.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. And so it's like defending by the way, have you heard of Ryan Tannehill?
By the way, you know that he's actually the starting quarterback.
Yeah. And there's not one shred of doubt about who the starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans is this year. Like, not a single fraction of a shred of doubt. And yet, this 1.1 million follower account that is an official Sunday Night Football account has just dismissed him, has just washed him from history. Ryan Tannehill, get out of there. Will Levis is the starter.
Do you think they forgot? Do you think they legitimately forgot that Ryan Tannehill was here, or do you think this is they drafted Will Levis, he's going to be the starter?
Well, they can't. That's a good question. I mean, if you forgot Ryan Tannehill exists, I understand that he's not top of mind, okay? I understand that Ryan Tannehill is not top of mind when we start about AFC quarterbacks. No one's arguing that he should be listed at the top, but he's good. He's better than several of the guys I just mentioned, right?
Yes.
He's objectively better than several of the guys I just mentioned right at this moment. I mean, certainly
better than Jimmy G, I think.
I agree. And Kenny Pickett, Mac. Well, I mean, just the obvious ones, you go through it and you got the rookies. Gosh, at this point, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what Sean Payton can do with Russ. But regardless, I don't know. It's a great question. They forget because if they just Will Levis probably win the job, it doesn't take a lot. I just feel like the Tennessee Titans, it's for people who cover the league at large, it's like, man, you gotta take some time out somewhere, you gotta be a little light somewhere. And so I'm just gonna not ever read or listen or anything about this team and just pretend I know something about it. It's a little bit disrespectful.
It is. And look, right now, this will change, I think. Right now, Will Levis is third-string quarterback here.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's the third-string quarterback here. Now, by the time camp gets done,
that was always going to be the case right now.
Right.
But yes,
my guess
that is true.
By the time the camp's done, my guess is he'll be the backup, and Malik Willis will be third string, and they'll go on from there. But I'm just saying, Ryan Tannehill is clearly the starting quarterback this year, and to me, if the Titans were planning on starting Will Levis, I don't know that Tannehill would be here right now. You're just going to let him be your backup and lose him for nothing at the end of the year? I don't think he would be here right now. So it is a big oversight by the Sunday Night Football Twitter account, no question.
Joel says Junie Riddle told him to do that. He's like, Levis needs to be the starter. Is that a Junie take?
No, I don't know.
Are you sure?
Hey, he will be on with Adam Vinkin from 2 to 6 today. So
we'll find out.
I know he likes Will Levis, but no, I don't think he's vying for him to be the starter. But to this point, shout out to Ron Davenport. He did a SportsCenter hit yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw the video he put out on Twitter, but SportsCenter's tossing. We got Teron Davenport, in Nashville. So how's that quarterback controversy going on? That was the question. How's that quarterback battle going on? And TD, he just kind of, he's like, well, Ryan Tannehill, he is the starter, right? But it's just funny, to that point of people actually thinking,
right.
Or even Keyshawn in this clip here saying, well, they have an unstable quarterback situation. No.
I mean, basically, people are equating Tannehill with Gardner Minshew,
right,
and Davis Mills, right? I mean, that's basically how people are viewing Ryan Tannehill. It's
wild.
It's kind of insane. It's kind of what? It's messed up. I understand that Tannehill this is probably it for him. Man, it's funny. You go out there, and it'll probably happen again today. First of all, he looks really good, but also it's the gap right now is a gap.
Sure.
And it's just there's nothing unstable or uncertain at all here. And he's good. He's not great. He's good. I'll say it again, keep saying it over and over. I'm very interested to find out when the next time the Titans get quarterback play of the quality he has given them at his best, because it's a pretty high level of play. It's not going to be easy to find that level of play at that position.
No, I totally agree. I got a texter that says, this is Vrabel at his best. No doubt this account reached out to teams to verify starters, and Vrabel told them Willis to light up a fire underneath him, or I guess he means Levis, to light up fire underneath him. Signed, this is not Jared, was the signature on the text.
Even Jared would laugh at you.
Yes.
But I love it, and I
Yes.
hope you're trolling. Please tell me you are.
I think so. I got a text that says the Titans could win the Super Bowl with Henry rushing for 2,000 and Tannehill throwing for 4,000 and still be ranked 20th the following season. That's from an unnamed texter on the text line.
Well, there was a. Let's remember that going into 21, the Titans did have high expectations. There was excitement. Like the league talked about them. The league was excited. They were. And by the way, they got the 1 seed that year, but it wasn't anywhere near how we all expected them to do it. But they got respect going into that season.
Well, they did, but it does kind of feel like they're just an afterthought now. And look,
without question.
I get it. I mean, they don't have Mahomes. They don't have Allen. They don't have those superstar quarterbacks. So I get it. But, I mean, it doesn't take that much looking around to say, oh, yeah, Ryan Tannehill's probably still going to be the starter there. He's under contract for another year. He's been pretty good when he's been healthy. He's not been great, but he's been pretty good. I don't know why that's so hard. Like, I think there's a narrative about Ryan Tannehill around the league, and I think if people
that's based in ignorance,
and I think if people actually like stopped and look at the winning that he's done and the numbers that he's put up since he's been the quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, a lot of people would be like, that's better than I thought it was.
No doubt. But you know what? A lot of those people never ever watch Titans football, but they probably watched the last 2 playoff games. And look,
Correct.
It's absolutely fair to be more down on him and knock him for those performances. But that is what they think about Dolphins, Tannehill, and then they watch the last 2 playoff games and they're like, yeah, what? Get a new guy in there.
Right.
The Titans are like all of this adds up. Titans are going to win like 10 or 11 games this year. Like seriously.
Yeah.
And Tannehill's going to have a great
11-6.
Is that your official prediction?
No, that was Jared's. Mine's 9-8.
Okay, that's mine too. But like this is so easy to see.
Wait till after they sign Hopkins, I'll go 13-4.
Oh, yeah, that'll change things. They'll be the favorite for the division now.
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Charles Robinson for the next 30 minutes here on the show from Yahoo Sports, talking all things Titans and NFL. With him, we'll get into the DeAndre Hopkins conversation as well. That is coming up next. But Joe Rexrode has a word from PhD Weight Loss.
I do, and let me tell you about PhD Weight Loss because 5 weeks, 17 pounds for me. That's a good pace, and I'm feeling good, and I'm loving the food items they provide. I'm loving that there are no pills, there are no gimmicks, there's no shots, there's no weird stuff, and it feels sustainable, which is obviously for anybody trying to lose weight. Like the whole thing is, I mean, a lot of things can help you lose weight, but is it sustainable? Can you keep it off? I mentioned those products. And by the way, 85% of the food is provided at no extra cost. I'm big on the peanut butter chocolate cereal. I have a little bag of it right here in my bag that I may crush during one of these breaks coming up. Pancakes, broccoli cheddar soup. The bars are awesome. I look forward to the bars every day. It's simple. It's easy. You got weekly discussions with a coach. Rachel, my coach, is great. You don't have cravings. You don't have crap. It's very easy. It's fun. And there's also a guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight at the end of your program, and by the way, these programs are all individually based and customized to you. If you don't get within 5 pounds, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. Check it out at myphdweightloss.com.
All the big plays. All the big stories.
If you're not ready to play in this league, you will lose. I don't care who you're playing.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Because I love the sport.
We played the way we needed to.
Why would he make that move?
360, he slams it home. The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
3 days of racing, 3 days of music, one huge weekend event. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is not just a race or a festival, it's an experience. Multiple music stations with Flo Rida, Vince Neil, Chris Jansen, Gavin DeGraw, and more. Fast cars going over 200 miles an hour. And a family fun zone with inflatables, Ferris wheels, kids games, and kid-friendly food trucks. Tickets and premium hospitality are on sale now. Go to MusicCityGP.com for tickets and get ready to experience Nashville's premier speed and sound event.
Hey, it's Withrow. Regal Realty Group and Monarch Title have made it even easier for you to buy or sell your house. Their updated website is very helpful for buyers and sellers with a list of communities and featured listings and answers to questions you may have when selling. Take a look around at regalrg.com. You'll find your new home with their super easy search bar. Regal Realty helps from contract to closing and everything in between, like inspections, appraisals, and paperwork. Let them do the heavy lifting and make it easy for you. Everything you need is at regalrg.com.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
CMA Fest is happening in downtown Nashville, June 8th through 11th, with dozens of performances by many of today's hottest black country artists, including K. Michelle, Chapel Hart, the TSU Aristocratic Bands, Breland, and many more. Proceeds benefit the CMA Foundation and music education programs. Visit CMAFest.com for details.
Baseball, basketball, pickleball. Those are sports, and people love sports. If you love sports, you should know this. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. Does saving have anything to do with sports? No, but people love sports, so I'm yelling sports out. Hockey, swimming, golf. Not all sports have the word ball in there, so save big when you switch to Progressive. Go sports teams!
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
Your Game Center update.
I'm Michelle Knezovic. The big news yesterday, Tom Pelissero reported that DeAndre Hopkins would be taking his first visit to the Tennessee Titans. When Mike Vrabel was asked after practice, here was his answer.
Well, the first thing is we want players that want to be here. I think we want people that want to be here, and then we'll work through anything else. And so, we brought in a bunch of different players. DeAndre will be somebody that we'll bring in next week, early next week, at the end of this week, and go through the same visit that we go through with everybody, and then start the process.
The Denver Nuggets defeated the Miami Heat in Miami 109-94 in Game 3. They now lead the series 2-1. It was a huge night from Nikola Jokic, recording 32 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists. This report is presented by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Michelle Knezovic for 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robby and Rexrode. Chase and Michelle.
Caroline, Willie, D-Base.
Stone and Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
1025 and 1063.
Crank City scores.
On both sides of the ball. One big possession.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun.
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 1025 and 1063 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. And as we do every Thursday morning at 8 o'clock, we go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our friend Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, brought to you by the NFL Alumni Association. Charles, good morning. How are we doing?
I bet I know what you guys want to talk about today.
I bet you might have an idea.
I wish we would have saved last week's questions for this week.
I know, right?
We could just re-rack it.
Yeah, let's just redo the whole thing. So, Charles, in all seriousness, we talked about Hopkins last week. The player, what does he have left in the tank? What's kind of the feeling on Hopkins and the fit and all those things? But What do you make specifically of the idea of him with the Tennessee Titans and what that fit could look like?
It makes some. It tells me that if this happens, this is not the rebuild. I don't want to say rebuild. It's more of a kind of micro rebuild. It's maybe a push. It's a piece. You don't add DeAndre Hopkins at this stage. Again, being 31 years old, we're talking about a guy who I think probably has a limited window here of 1-2 years left where he can really contribute to a contending team, which is what he wants. And I can clue you in a little bit in terms of like contract, what he's looking for. I had a chance to talk to a couple other teams that have dabbled in, speaking to him and prior to him securing an agent, talking to some of the other, I guess, individuals in his camp. And look, if he is this whole sort of list that he wants in terms of, hey, I want an established quarterback who can play, don't want to be part of going into a situation where it's either a subpar player, a quarterback controversy. I want to go in somewhere where I can help an above average to, upper echelon veteran on a team that wants to contend, and I want money. And can the Titans provide all those things? Well, look, he's experienced, he's established, he's played well in the past. Adding Hopkins would obviously be an element of extending Tannehill's window a little bit. I think it would help the Titans in terms of potentially contending. Again, it's a quality piece if he can stay healthy and on the field and contribute to the locker room, help Treylon Burks, which I would assume is a component of this, and as Mike Vrabel said, wants to be there. And if the Titans can pay him, he's going to ultimately be looking at what I was told from two teams that had some interest in him and now appear to be reclining a little bit, just sort of waiting to see how things develop. The starting point is the Odell Beckham Jr. deal with the Baltimore Ravens. One team in particular told me, we think he's probably a year-to-year player. That's why we don't think we're going to be able to sign him. And it's going to be a situation where it's starting around that $15 million mark. What kind of incentives can you possibly, include in a deal that could help him reach $18, $20 million, which was something that Odell Beckham Jr. was looking for. Can the Titans offer that? Yeah. I mean, they'd have to do some shuffling with the cap, but at least in the 2023 window, the availability is there. So it does make some sense to me. I will tell you the reticence of other teams, if Titans fans are interested in that, I get some of the Odell Beckham Jr. vibes. You're bringing on a receiver that is later in years, that is going to have expectations of being, if not the 1A. So there's some ego involved in there, and you do want someone coming in who somebody on the staff has to be A, familiar with him, and B, he really has to want to play for that franchise, for a certain coach. Vrabel, obviously having those ties going back to the Houston Texans, that makes a pretty big difference. So he's not a fit everywhere, I will put it that way. But I would say that the Titans do have elements that other teams have brought up as, making your particular franchise a good landing spot.
Okay, I was thinking like 7, 8 with incentives that can get it into like 12, 14. Am I crazy? What am I missing here?
That is exactly what other teams are thinking. I'm telling you, this is to me, and I don't know how this will end because it's in the same area for other teams right now. I can't speak to the Titans, but I can tell you when Odell Beckham Jr. shows up at the owners' meetings in March, and he's talking to teams, he's trying to shop himself. The teams that were interested in him at the time that were not the Baltimore Ravens were thinking same thing. $8 million. Let's figure out a way to get some reachable incentives that maybe get it to $15 million, double the contract size. Odell was not interested in that, and that's why his market was so slow. Now, I hear from the NFL Network, DeAndre Hopkins' market is heating up. Is it? Like, the weird thing is, when you watch the NFL Network and you watch some of these individuals talk about the market, quote-unquote, heating up, name the teams. Tell me which teams are lining him up right now. Because I can tell you right now, the reason why this visit is happening with the Titans is because no one else is in overdrive trying to have him visit. Deshaun Watson wants him in Cleveland. They're not sprinting out there trying to bring him in. The Buffalo Bills could use him in Buffalo. He's expressed a desire to play with Josh Allen. They're not in overdrive trying to schedule him for a visit. The Houston Texans have, had the idea of potentially bringing him back. There's been some faint interest from the New England Patriots. Nobody is running out there trying to get him in. So when I hear these reports, I don't know who these other guys are talking to, but I'm talking to individuals in these franchises, executives who are like, yeah, we're interested. Let's wait and see what happens. So his market right now to me is Tennessee. Who are the Titans bidding against? Well, the Jets didn't think they were bidding against really anybody of consequence when it came to Odell. And then what happened? Lamar Jackson wanted him in Baltimore, and that's ultimately how Odell Beckham Jr. secured a $15 million one-year contract with $3 million in incentives. He wasn't going to get anywhere else. I think we're in a similar situation with Hopkins. If the Titans are in overdrive and just have to have him, maybe he gets that contract. But I don't know who else out there fitting his needs in terms of wanting to play with an established quarterback, wanting to play for a franchise that's got a chance to contend, or at least be a playoff franchise. I don't know who else out there is going to give him that kind of a deal.
So when we hear about a visit, that sounds like maybe trying to manufacture a market.
I don't know if it's trying to I want to be careful here because I do think the interest is mutual. I don't know that it's this hot and heavy, this is the first date that both sides have been, sprinting out there, looking for. I think that Hopkins, and I'm telling you, that's my feel right now, June 8th, he's not in a hurry to sign a deal. I don't know that he comes out for a visit and then it's a, hey, don't let him leave the building kind of a situation. I have not heard, at least from the other suitors, that they think that the Titans are trying to get him in to lock him up, right away. I think it's sort of the first step. Let's wait and see how things develop. And so, for Titans fans, I would expect this is something that, he could visit, wait and see what else out in the market develops. But I just don't know that any other teams are really going to step up. So you could see this drag on to, into July as, he's trying to figure out what's on the table for me. What am I willing to, acquiesce to when it comes to the contract and what's really on the table for me. But right now, I just don't think it's any team is really pushing this other than the Titans. I don't even know the Titans are really pushing this. I think it's a laid back kind of let's check in, visit, let's see how he feels about the franchise, let's see how people feel about his personality that aren't Mike Vrabel, and just sort of see where his head's at, and then we can talk contract later. I don't know if they're even necessarily really talking contract now.
It's really, really interesting. We'll have more with Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Final lives here. Which team will hoist Lord Stanley's Cup in 2023? Follow all